Discussion on verses 1 to 20 of 20. This chapter begins by emphasizing the importance of spiritual discipline, which forms the foundation for other types of discipline, including behavioral and social discipline. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verses 1 to 4.
O you who wraps himself, arise to pray the night, except for a little, half of it, or subtract from it a little, or add to it.
These verses encourage the establishment of voluntary night prayer, a form of worship that requires effort, sacrifice, and sincerity. Waking during the quiet hours of the night, when others are asleep and worldly distractions are minimal, trains a person to control their desires and overcome laziness. This struggle cultivates spiritual strength and self-discipline, which then extends into other areas of life. When a person learns to leave their comfort in order to stand before Allah, the Exalted, in prayer, they become more capable of controlling their behavior throughout the day. Spiritual discipline gained through such acts strengthens a person's ability to remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, in all circumstances. For example, someone who regularly wakes in the night to worship develops greater control over their impulses. This control helps them restrain their tongue from harmful speech, such as gossip, slander, or lying. It also strengthens their resolve to avoid unlawful earnings, dishonesty in business, and exploitation of others. A person who has trained themselves to worship when no one else is watching is more likely to maintain integrity in situations where wrongdoing could easily be hidden. This discipline also improves a person's conduct within their family and social life. A spiritually disciplined individual becomes more patient with their spouse, more compassionate toward their children, and more respectful toward their parents. When disagreements arise, they are less likely to react with anger or harshness, as their regular spiritual reflection reminds them of accountability before Allah, the Exalted. Similarly, this discipline encourages fairness in social dealings, whether in friendships, community responsibilities, or professional environments. Spiritual discipline also strengthens a person's ability to correctly use the material blessings they have been granted. Wealth, time, health, and influence are all blessings that can either benefit or harm a person depending on how they are used. Through consistent spiritual training, a person becomes more mindful of how these blessings should be directed. For instance, they are more likely to spend their wealth responsibly, avoid extravagance, and support charitable causes. They are also more careful about how they spend their time, avoiding activities that bring no benefit, while prioritizing acts that strengthen their faith and character. Another important example is patience during hardship. Someone who regularly engages in night prayer develops a closer connection with Allah, the Exalted, which strengthens their trust in Him. As a result, when difficulties arise, such as financial strain, illness, or personal loss, they are less likely to fall into despair or panic. Instead, they face these challenges with patience and hope, recognizing that their struggles have purpose and that relief ultimately comes from Allah, the Exalted. In addition, spiritual discipline fosters humility. Standing in prayer during the night reminds a person of their dependence upon their Creator, and prevents arrogance from taking root in their heart. This humility influences how they treat others, encouraging kindness, forgiveness, and fairness. It prevents them from becoming proud due to wealth, status, knowledge, or social influence, as they remain constantly aware that all blessings originate from Allah, the Exalted. Through these examples, it becomes clear that spiritual discipline is not limited to acts of worship alone. Rather, it serves as the foundation for balanced living. When a person strengthens their relationship with Allah, the Exalted, through sincere worship such as the voluntary night prayer, that spiritual strength naturally shapes their behavior, decision-making, and relationships. As a result, they become better equipped to use the blessings they have been granted in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, thereby achieving a balanced mental and physical state and correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verses 1 to 4.
O you who wraps himself, arise to pray the night, except for a little, half of it, or subtract from it a little, or add to it.
In general, voluntary night worship is a powerful indication of sincerity toward Allah, the Exalted, as it is performed when a person is alone and free from the attention of others. At that time, worldly distractions are minimal and most people are asleep, so the one who rises to worship does so purely for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. For this reason, it represents a deeply personal and intimate form of devotion, allowing a servant to speak privately with their Creator, seek forgiveness, and express their needs with humility. It is therefore a clear sign of genuine servanthood to Allah, the Exalted. Voluntary night worship possesses countless virtues. For example, a hadith found in Sunan an-Nasai, number 1614, states that it is the best voluntary prayer. This indicates the immense spiritual value placed on worship performed during the night, as it requires dedication, sincerity, and a willingness to sacrifice comfort, in order to draw closer to Allah, the Exalted. No one will possess a higher rank on Judgment Day or in paradise than the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his exalted status has been directly connected to voluntary night prayer. This connection highlights the importance of this form of worship, and demonstrates the elevated position granted to those who sincerely establish it. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 79.
And from part of the night pray with it, i.e., recitation of the Quran as additional worship for you. It is expected that your Lord will resurrect you to a praise station.
In addition, a hadith found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3579, explains that a person is closest to Allah, the Exalted, during the last part of the night. This period is therefore a unique opportunity for remembrance, reflection, supplication, and repentance. At this quiet time, the heart is often more focused and sincere, allowing a person to derive great spiritual benefit from remembering Allah, the Exalted. All people desire their prayers to be accepted, and their needs fulfilled. The voluntary night prayer provides a valuable opportunity for this, as a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 1770, explains that there is a special hour during every night when sincere supplications are always answered. A person who wakes to worship during the night increases their likelihood of encountering this blessed moment, thereby gaining the opportunity to have their supplications accepted by Allah, the Exalted. Establishing voluntary night worship also acts as a strong protection against sinful behavior. It nurtures awareness of Allah, the Exalted, and strengthens self-control, which discourages a person from engaging in wrongdoing. It also helps individuals avoid wasting time in pointless social gatherings or harmful environments that could lead them away from obedience. In addition, night worship has been associated with physical benefits as well, as mentioned in a hadith found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3549, which indicates that it can contribute to protection from certain physical illnesses. In order to successfully establish voluntary night prayer, a person should adopt practical steps that make it easier to perform. One important measure is to avoid overeating or excessive drinking, particularly before sleeping, as this often leads to heaviness and laziness that make waking during the night difficult. Moderation in food and drink supports both physical health and spiritual discipline. It is also beneficial to avoid unnecessarily exhausting oneself during the day. Managing one's daily activities wisely helps preserve enough energy to rise during the night. Taking a short nap during the day can also assist in restoring energy, making it easier to wake for worship. Most importantly, a person should strive to avoid sins and maintain obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Consistently fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and responding to life's circumstances with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, strengthens the heart and increases spiritual motivation. Those who live in obedience generally find it easier to establish voluntary night prayer, as their hearts are naturally inclined toward worship and remembrance of Allah, the Exalted. An important aspect of the prayers, including the voluntary night prayer, is the recitation of the Holy Quran in a manner that allows a person to reflect upon its words and meanings so that its guidance influences their behavior in daily life. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 4.
And recite the Quran with measured recitation.
Measured recitation encourages a person to slow down and contemplate the message of the Holy Quran rather than merely reading its words quickly. The purpose of this approach is not simply to beautify the recitation, but to allow the heart and mind to absorb the guidance contained within it. When a person recites the Holy Quran thoughtfully, They begin to recognize how its teachings relate to their own life, their behavior, and their responsibilities toward Allah, the Exalted, and toward others. Such reflection, however, can only occur when a person understands the meanings of the Holy Quran. Sadly, only a small percentage of people possess this understanding. In many cases today, the Holy Quran has largely been reduced to beautiful recitation and pleasant sound without comprehension, reflection, or implementation. While reciting the Holy Quran with a pleasant voice is commendable, reducing it to sound alone contradicts its primary purpose, as it was revealed as a book of guidance rather than merely a book of recitation. For this reason, a person must strive to fulfill the true purpose of the Holy Quran by implementing its guidance within their life. This involves 3 essential steps. The first is to recite the Holy Quran correctly and consistently, maintaining a regular connection with its words. The second is to seek understanding of its meanings through trustworthy explanations, so that its message becomes clear. The third is to sincerely apply its teachings in practical life, allowing its guidance to shape one's actions, decisions, and character. A devoted servant gives priority to the guidance of the Holy Quran over personal desires, when those desires contradict divine instruction. Through this approach, their character gradually becomes molded according to the standards set by divine revelation. This reflects the example of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, whose character embodied the teachings of the Holy Quran. This reality is mentioned in a hadith found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 1342. Truly honoring the Holy Quran, therefore, requires approaching it with seriousness and sincerity. A person should seek to understand it, internalize its message, and act upon all of its commands and prohibitions rather than selectively following only those teachings that align with their personal preferences. Choosing to follow certain parts while ignoring others demonstrates a lack of sincerity and prevents a person from benefiting from the full wisdom and mercy contained within the Holy Quran. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 82.
And we send down of the Quran that which is healing and mercy for the believers, but it does not increase the wrongdoers except in loss.
Furthermore, although the Holy Quran certainly provides guidance and comfort for the challenges of worldly life, its ultimate purpose is far greater. It was revealed to guide humanity toward eternal success and salvation. A person should therefore not treat the Holy Quran merely as a temporary remedy, used only during moments of distress, while neglecting it at other times. Such behavior reflects a shallow understanding of faith and the purpose of divine revelation. An example can help illustrate this point. It is similar to purchasing a vehicle that appears impressive on the outside and contains many luxurious features, but lacks an engine. Although it may look complete, it cannot fulfill its true purpose of transporting its owner to their destination. In the same way, reciting the Holy Quran without understanding and implementation may appear admirable outwardly, yet it prevents a person from reaching the ultimate destination for which the Holy Quran was revealed. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 4.
And recite the Quran with measured recitation.
Islam consistently encourages people, at all levels of knowledge, to reflect upon the Holy Quran. The invitation to contemplate its verses is not restricted to scholars alone, but is directed to all of humanity. Chapter 14 Ibrahim, verse 25.
And Allah presents examples for the people that perhaps they will reflect.
And chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 219.
Thus Allah makes clear to you the verses of revelation so that you reflect.
These verses demonstrate that reflection upon divine revelation is a fundamental aspect of engaging with the Holy Quran. The message of the Holy Quran is repeatedly explained through examples, lessons, and reminders, so that people can ponder its meanings and recognize the wisdom contained within it. Through reflection, a person begins to see how its guidance applies to their own life and how it directs them toward correct conduct. Therefore, the notion that contemplation of the Holy Quran is limited only to scholars is incorrect and contradicts the spirit of Islamic teachings. The Holy Quran itself repeatedly calls upon people to think, reflect, and consider its message. If reflection were restricted only to scholars, these repeated invitations would lose much of their meaning. Instead, The Holy Quran encourages every person to engage with its guidance according to their capacity. However, it is essential to understand the proper limits of this reflection. Encouraging people to contemplate the Holy Quran does not mean that individuals without scholarly training should attempt to interpret its verses independently or derive legal rulings from them. Matters related to Islamic law and detailed interpretation require extensive knowledge, training, and understanding of the broader teachings of Islam. Attempting to engage in such matters without proper knowledge could easily lead to misunderstanding or misguidance. For this reason, those without scholarly expertise should focus their reflection on aspects of the Holy Quran that are clear and universally understandable. This includes reflecting upon the moral guidance it provides, such as the positive qualities that individuals are encouraged to develop and the negative characteristics they are warned to avoid. The Holy Quran repeatedly emphasizes virtues such as honesty, patience, humility, gratitude, kindness toward others, and sincerity toward Allah, the Exalted. It also warns against harmful traits such as arrogance, greed, dishonesty, injustice, and ingratitude. Reflecting on these teachings allows a person to improve their character and behavior in practical ways. This level of reflection is accessible to everyone, regardless of their level of education. By regularly contemplating these clear teachings, individuals can gradually transform their behavior and attitudes, enabling them to use the blessings they have been granted in the correct manner. Through this process, they move closer to achieving peace of mind in both worlds by obtaining a balanced mental and physical state, and by correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. More complex topics within the Holy Quran should be approached with caution and supported by reliable translations and well-established commentaries written by qualified scholars. These explanations help clarify meanings, provide context, and prevent misunderstanding. By relying on trustworthy sources, individuals can benefit from the wisdom of scholars who have devoted their lives to studying the Holy Quran and its teachings. When individuals engage with the Holy Quran through translations and reliable explanations, their understanding of its message deepens. This deeper understanding nurtures love and reverence for Allah, the Exalted, as people begin to recognize the clear proofs and evidences contained within divine revelation. As their appreciation grows, their faith becomes stronger, and their desire to obey Allah, the Exalted, increases. This sincere motivation encourages them to prepare for their accountability on the Day of Judgment by striving to use the blessings they have been granted according to Islamic teachings. The most effective way to gain this understanding is by learning under the guidance of a knowledgeable scholar. Studying with a teacher allows a person to ask questions, clarify misunderstandings, and receive explanations that are grounded in authentic scholarship. A teacher can also guide students toward reliable sources of knowledge and help them avoid common errors in interpretation. At the same time, it is important that whatever knowledge is gained through study is personally reflected upon. Learning should not remain purely theoretical. Instead, individuals should regularly think about how the teachings of the Holy Quran apply to their own behavior, decisions, and relationships. Through this reflection, they can begin to implement its guidance in their daily lives. If studying directly under a scholar is not possible, a person should turn to authentic explanations of the Holy Quran written by trustworthy scholars. Whenever confusion arises regarding a particular subject, guidance should be sought from qualified scholars rather than relying on personal assumptions. By approaching the Holy Quran with sincerity, humility, and a willingness to learn, individuals can benefit from its guidance while remaining protected from misunderstanding. The spiritual discipline mentioned earlier is also essential for accepting and acting upon the divine code of conduct granted to mankind by Allah, the Exalted. This guidance is described as heavy because living according to it often conflicts with the worldly desires and ambitions of people. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 5.
Indeed, we will cast upon you a heavy word.
The description of divine guidance as heavy reflects the reality that consistently following it requires commitment, patience, and self-control. People are naturally inclined toward comfort, personal preference, and immediate gratification. In contrast, the divine code of conduct frequently requires restraint, sacrifice, and discipline. For example, it calls people to control their anger, resist greed, avoid dishonesty, and act with fairness even when doing so conflicts with personal advantage. Without strong spiritual discipline, it becomes extremely difficult for individuals to consistently uphold these standards. In general, regardless of how technologically advanced a society becomes, and regardless of how much knowledge people gain in fields such as psychology, medicine, sociology, or philosophy, humanity remains unable to produce a flawless and comprehensive code of conduct that perfectly aligns with human nature while addressing every possible circumstance that individuals and societies may encounter throughout their lives. Human understanding continues to evolve, and even the most advanced scientific knowledge is constantly revised as new discoveries are made. For instance, despite extensive research into the human mind, scientists are still uncovering new information about the brain and its functions. The relationship between emotions, decision-making, memory, and behavior is still being studied and debated. If humanity has not yet fully understood the mechanisms of the human brain itself, it is clearly beyond human ability to design a complete and flawless system of moral guidance that can successfully govern every aspect of human life across all cultures, eras, and situations. Because human knowledge is limited and constantly changing, any system created solely through human reasoning will inevitably contain gaps, weaknesses, or biases. Some systems may appear beneficial for a period of time, but later reveal unintended consequences. Others may favor certain groups of people, while neglecting the rights and well-being of others. This limitation explains why social systems and moral standards frequently change throughout history, as societies attempt to correct previous mistakes. In contrast, Allah the Exalted is the creator of humanity and possesses complete and perfect knowledge. His knowledge is not restricted by time, place, or experience. He knows the past, present, and future, as well as the hidden and the apparent aspects of human nature. Because he created human beings and fully understands their physical, emotional, and spiritual needs, he alone possesses the knowledge necessary to establish a perfect code of conduct for them. For this reason, the guidance revealed by Allah the Exalted, through the Holy Quran, and the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, provides a comprehensive framework that clearly distinguishes between right and wrong, beneficial and harmful. It guides people toward behavior that nurtures both personal well-being and social harmony. Through this divine guidance, individuals are taught how to manage their desires, treat others fairly, and use the blessings granted to them in a responsible manner. By following these principles, people can move toward a life characterized by balance, stability, and peace of mind, rather than one dominated by stress and conflict. History provides clear examples of the positive impact of this divine code of conduct when it is sincerely implemented. Periods in which Islamic teachings were practiced with sincerity often produced societies known for justice, compassion, intellectual growth, and social stability. When individuals committed themselves to the moral and spiritual discipline taught by Islam, communities benefited from greater fairness, mutual respect, and social responsibility. Because of these realities, individuals should accept the divine code of conduct with trust and sincerity, recognizing that it ultimately serves their best interests. Even when certain aspects of this guidance conflict with personal desires, a person should remember that the wisdom behind divine commands may not always be immediately apparent. Just as a patient trusts the expertise of a physician who prescribes treatment for their health, individuals should trust the wisdom of the guidance provided by Allah, the Exalted. A wise patient follows the advice of their doctor, even when the prescribed treatment involves bitter medicine or a strict dietary plan that restricts certain pleasures. Although these instructions may initially appear unpleasant, the patient understands that they are necessary for long-term health and recovery. In the same way, a person who sincerely accepts the divine guidance given by Allah, the Exalted, recognizes that following it ultimately leads to a healthier, more balanced, and more peaceful life in both this world and the next. As discussed earlier, reflecting on the Holy Quran, especially during the voluntary night prayer, is extremely valuable, as it is a time when a person can be alone with their thoughts. The daytime is often filled with work, social interaction, and numerous activities that occupy the mind. In contrast, The quiet of the night allows a person to detach from distractions and concentrate on reflection and remembrance. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verses 6-7.
Indeed, the hours of the night are more effective for concurrence of heart and tongue, and more suitable for words. Indeed, for you by day is prolonged occupation.
This verse indicates that the night provides a unique environment in which the heart and the tongue can become aligned. When a person recites the Holy Quran during this time, their mind is calmer, their attention is less divided, and their reflection becomes deeper and more sincere. As a result, the meanings of the Holy Quran can affect the heart more strongly, guiding a person toward improved behavior and clearer thinking. In general, with the widespread presence of social media and the ease with which people can communicate at any moment, it has become increasingly important for individuals to understand the value of meaningful self-reflection. Constant communication with others often leaves little room for quiet contemplation. Yet self-reflection is essential for correctly assessing situations and making sound judgments about how to respond to them. This applies equally to both worldly matters and religious responsibilities. True self-reflection requires a person to turn inward and temporarily distance themselves from external communication. This includes stepping away from conversations, messages, and digital interaction so that the mind can focus fully on evaluating one's situation. When a person remains constantly engaged with others, whether through conversation, messages, or online content, the mind becomes filled with external voices and opinions, leaving little room for personal understanding and thoughtful judgment. Another important reality is that the details of a person's experiences cannot be fully understood by others, regardless of how close the relationship may be. Every situation an individual faces generates unique emotions, thoughts, and personal reactions that are shaped by their character, past experiences, and personal circumstances. Even if another person encounters a similar situation, their feelings and perspective will never be identical, because each person views and responds to events differently. For this reason, relying excessively on the opinions of many different people can often create confusion rather than clarity. When numerous individuals offer advice, their suggestions may contradict one another, leaving the person unsure about which path to follow. This confusion can lead to poor decisions and unnecessary stress. Although seeking advice from knowledgeable and trustworthy individuals is recommended in both religious and worldly matters, this guidance should not replace personal reflection. After receiving advice, a person must still carefully consider their own circumstances, abilities, and responsibilities in order to determine the most appropriate course of action. Self-reflection allows individuals to evaluate advice and apply it in a way that is suitable for their own situation. It is also important to recognize that self-reflection cannot be performed effectively while multitasking. In the same way that a student cannot properly study while simultaneously browsing social media, a person cannot deeply reflect on their life while their attention is divided among multiple forms of communication and entertainment. True reflection requires concentration and mental calmness. Sadly, modern habits have made this increasingly difficult for many people. Some individuals spend nearly every moment connected to others, listening to content, watching videos, texting messages, or speaking on the phone. In many cases, people find it difficult to spend even a short walk or a few quiet minutes alone without turning to their devices. When a person is constantly immersed in communication and entertainment, their mind rarely has the opportunity to slow down and reflect on their actions, decisions, and direction in life. This lack of reflection affects both small and large aspects of life. On a smaller scale, it can lead to poor decisions in everyday matters, such as problems at work or disagreements with others. On a larger scale, it can affect a person's overall sense of direction and purpose. Without regular reflection, individuals may drift through life without seriously considering their goals, responsibilities, or ultimate destination. A person who constantly over-socializes and rarely takes time to reflect may gradually begin to live without clear purpose. Their ambitions and hopes remain unexamined, and they may fail to make meaningful progress toward fulfilling the beneficial goals they once desired. Instead of actively directing their life, they simply move from one activity or distraction to another. For this reason, a person must deliberately take time away from constant communication in order to reflect on their life. During these moments, they should question their intentions, consider the path they are following, and evaluate whether their actions are guiding them toward a meaningful and beneficial destination. Through regular self-reflection, individuals can more accurately assess the situations they encounter in both worldly and religious matters. This thoughtful evaluation helps them respond wisely to challenges, correct their mistakes, and maintain balance in their priorities. By doing so, they increase their chances of remaining on the right path and achieving peace and success in both this world and the next, through obtaining a balanced mental and physical state, and through correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. When a person regularly takes time to understand, reflect upon, and act according to Islamic teachings, they gradually develop the habit of remembering Allah, the Exalted, in every situation they encounter, whether related to worldly matters or religious duties. This constant awareness shapes their thoughts, intentions, and actions, guiding them to respond to circumstances in a manner that pleases their Creator. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 8.
And remember the name of your Lord, and devote yourself to Him with complete devotion.
The remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, can be understood through three main levels. The first level is remembering Him internally and silently within the heart. This form of remembrance includes correcting one's intention, so that all actions are performed sincerely for the sake of pleasing Allah, the Exalted. When a person begins a task, whether it involves work, family responsibilities, or acts of worship, they remind themselves that their actions should ultimately be directed toward pleasing their Creator. This inward awareness purifies intentions and transforms ordinary actions into acts of devotion when they are performed with sincerity. The second level of remembrance occurs through the tongue. This includes verbally remembering Allah, the Exalted, through praise, supplication, and recitation, as well as speaking in ways that are pleasing to Him. Words possess great influence, and therefore a person who remembers Allah, the Exalted, through their speech will strive to avoid harmful language such as lies, insults, gossip, and arguments that lead to harm. Instead, they will use their speech to spread goodness, encouragement, and truth. In addition, remembering Allah, the Exalted, through the tongue also includes choosing silence when speech would not bring benefit. This principle is emphasized in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 176. Which explains that when a person has nothing beneficial to say, remaining silent is itself a good deed. In this way, even silence can become a form of remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, because it reflects awareness of His commands and a desire to avoid wrongdoing. The highest and most complete form of remembrance is remembering Allah, the Exalted, through one's actions and outward conduct. This practical form of remembrance is realized when a person uses their limbs in obedience to Allah, the Exalted. It consists of fulfilling His commands, abstaining from His prohibitions, and responding to the different situations of life with patience and reliance upon Him in accordance with the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. When a person attains this level, their remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, becomes evident through their behavior and manner of living. Their actions begin to reflect sincerity, discipline, and a constant awareness of divine guidance. They employ the blessings granted to them, such as time, wealth, knowledge, and physical ability, in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Their daily life becomes a living expression of devotion, as every decision and action is directed by the intention of obeying Him. Through this way of living, a person develops balance within both their mental and physical state, learns to place every matter and relationship in its proper position within their life, and prepares themselves appropriately for accountability on the Day of Judgment. Such conduct ultimately leads to inner tranquility and peace of mind in both this world and the hereafter. However, attaining this highest degree of remembrance requires both knowledge and persistent effort. A person must first learn the teachings of Islam, so that they clearly understand what Allah, the Exalted, has commanded and what He has forbidden. After acquiring this knowledge, they must then strive to implement it consistently within their daily conduct. In this manner, Islamic knowledge becomes the foundation from which righteous actions and genuine spiritual development emerge. It is therefore the root of all goodness and the means through which true success is attained in both this world and the life to come. Those who remain limited to the first two levels, internal intention and verbal remembrance, will certainly receive reward according to their sincerity. However, these levels alone may not be sufficient to significantly strengthen faith and piety unless they lead to the third level, where remembrance is demonstrated through actions. True spiritual growth occurs when remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, influences behavior and decisions in everyday life. A person who fulfills all three levels of remembrance has been promised peace of mind and stability in both this world and the hereafter. Chapter 13 Ar-Ra'd, verse 28.
Unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace.
And chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
Unfortunately, many individuals fulfill their obligatory duties and perform voluntary acts of worship, yet overlook these deeper levels of remembering Allah, the Exalted. They may complete acts of worship outwardly, but fail to maintain awareness of Allah, the Exalted, in their intentions, speech, and behavior throughout the rest of their daily life. As a result, they sometimes struggle to experience the peace and balance that true remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, brings, despite the worship and good deeds they perform. This highlights the importance of ensuring that remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, is not confined only to formal acts of worship, but is extended to every part of a person's life. When remembrance becomes internal, verbal, and practical, it transforms a person's character and allows them to experience the true peace promised through obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 9.
He is the Lord of the East and the West, there is no deity except Him.
Reflecting upon Islamic knowledge naturally leads a person to reflect upon the creation, as both point clearly toward the oneness of Allah, the Exalted, and demonstrate that He alone deserves obedience in every circumstance. The teachings of Islam encourage individuals to use their intellect and carefully observe the world around them, as the order and harmony present throughout the universe serve as powerful signs of the wisdom and power of Allah, the Exalted. When a person studies the vastness of the skies, the structure of the earth, and the countless systems that operate with perfect balance, it becomes evident that the universe could not have come into existence or continued functioning without a single creator who designs and sustains it. For instance, the precise distance between the sun and the earth is a remarkable indication of this careful design. If the sun were positioned even slightly closer to the earth, the intense heat would make life impossible, scorching the planet and destroying the delicate systems required for survival. Conversely, if the sun were even a small distance farther away, the earth would become too cold, preventing the existence of living beings and disrupting the processes that support life. The fact that the earth is positioned at an exact distance that allows an appropriate balance of warmth and light clearly demonstrates a deliberate arrangement rather than a random occurrence. In addition to this, the earth itself has been formed in a manner that produces a stable and balanced atmosphere. This atmosphere maintains the necessary conditions that allow plants, animals, and humans to live and flourish, providing the correct mixture of elements required to sustain life. Another example of this precise balance can be observed in the force of gravity present on Earth. The level of gravity has been set in a manner that perfectly suits the needs of life. If the force of gravity were significantly stronger, movement would become extremely difficult for humans and animals alike. Basic activities such as walking, running, or lifting objects would require immense effort, and many forms of life would struggle to survive under such conditions. On the other hand, if gravity were considerably weaker, people and animals would find it difficult to remain stable on the ground. Everyday movement would become dangerous and unpredictable, as individuals could easily lose balance or be unable to maintain control over their physical actions. Instead, the force of gravity exists at a precise level that enables humans, animals, and other living beings to move freely, construct homes and structures, and live comfortably upon the surface of the earth. A simple comparison further clarifies this reality. When a person wishes to construct even a modest building, careful thought and planning are required. The builder must position essential structural elements, such as pillars and supports, in the correct places, in order to preserve the strength and stability of the building. Without this deliberate planning, the structure would become weak and unsafe, eventually collapsing or causing harm to those within it. If such careful design is necessary for the construction of a small and simple building created by human hands, then it is unreasonable to claim that the immensely complex structure of the skies and the earth came into existence by mere accident. If the universe had arisen through random chance, it would display signs of disorder, instability, and imperfection. Yet the opposite is clearly observed. The harmony and balance found throughout the creation unmistakably point toward the precise planning and supreme wisdom of the Creator, Allah the Exalted. Chapter 13 Ar-Ra'd verse 2.
It is Allah who erected the heavens without pillars that you can see.
The path of the sun is perfectly designed to ensure that the earth receives a balanced division of light and darkness, providing an ideal rhythm of day and night that supports human life, animal activity, and plant growth. This balance is further refined by the seasonal variation in day and night lengths, allowing people to make optimal use of their time throughout the year. Were the days significantly longer, humans and animals would experience excessive fatigue, making it difficult to perform daily activities effectively. Conversely, if nights were extended, there would be insufficient time for work, learning, and other essential pursuits that contribute to personal and societal well-being. Likewise, if nights were too short, people would be deprived of adequate rest, which is crucial for maintaining physical and mental health. These carefully balanced cycles also have a direct effect on the natural world. Crops depend on predictable patterns of light and darkness for growth, and any significant disruption in these cycles would reduce agricultural yields, creating challenges for food production and ultimately threatening the sustenance of both humans and animals. Beyond the practical benefits for life on Earth, the flawless operation of day and night, along with countless other interdependent systems, points clearly to the oneness of Allah the Exalted. If multiple gods existed, each with different wills and intentions, the harmony of the universe would inevitably collapse, resulting in chaos and instability. The precise and consistent functioning of these cosmic systems, therefore, serves as an undeniable sign of a single, all-powerful Creator who governs every aspect of the universe with wisdom, order, and balance. Chapter 21 Al-Anbiya, verse 22.
Had there been within them, i.e., the heavens and earth gods besides Allah, they both would have been ruined.
The moon serves as a natural reflector of sunlight, illuminating the night and guiding people in their movements, particularly in deserts and across oceans, a method of navigation that remains fundamental for the transportation of goods even in modern times. Its phases govern the rhythm of the tides, which in turn play a critical role in maintaining the ecological balance of oceans and seas. Any disruption to these tides could result in significant harm to both marine and terrestrial environments. Together, the sun and moon allow humans to measure the passage of time with remarkable accuracy, a system essential for agriculture, daily activities, and social organization. The precise placement and function of these celestial bodies, working in perfect harmony, clearly indicate the influence of a deliberate and wise Creator. The formation of the earth itself further demonstrates this divine precision. Its land is distributed in a way that supports both agriculture and construction, creating an environment in which humans can sustain themselves and build communities. Observing the planet reveals varying altitudes, where regions of high elevation present challenges due to thinner air and limited accessibility. Yet the majority of habitable land lies at optimal altitudes, striking a balance between usability and natural protection. Certain areas are intentionally difficult to reach, preserving resources and maintaining ecological stability, while the majority of Earth remains accessible for human activity. Beyond topography, natural resources are distributed with remarkable consideration. The more essential a resource is for human survival, the more easily it can be accessed. This meticulous arrangement of land and resources cannot be accidental, and serves as a clear indication of a Creator who plans and sustains life with wisdom. The water cycle offers yet another profound example of divine balance. Water evaporates from the seas, rises, and eventually condenses into rain, which often falls upon mountains. These mountains neutralize the naturally acidic rain, making it safe and usable for humans, animals, and plants. Any disruption in this system would cause severe consequences, threatening life on Earth. The salinity of the oceans ensures that decayed matter does not contaminate marine life, while simultaneously allowing ships to navigate the waters. Even minor variations in water composition could either endanger sea life or impede maritime transport, but the system is perfectly calibrated to support both. Rainfall itself is carefully balanced. Too little causes drought and famine, while excessive rainfall results in flooding and destruction. The precision of the water cycle, alongside the arrangement of the oceans and seas, highlights the intricate planning and sustaining power of Allah, the Exalted, underscoring the undeniable evidence of His existence and wisdom. Chapter 23 Al-Mustminin, verse 18.
And we have sent down rain from the sky in a measured amount and settled it in the earth. And indeed, we are able to take it away.
The winds play a vital role in sustaining life on Earth, as they are crucial for wind pollination, enabling crops, plants, and trees to reproduce and thrive. In earlier times, wind was indispensable for sea travel, allowing goods and people to traverse vast distances. Even today, wind remains a fundamental factor in many maritime activities. Beyond these uses, winds are responsible for transporting rainclouds to specific regions, ensuring that water reaches areas where life depends upon it. Without this precise movement, the survival of countless living beings would be compromised. The system of winds across the Earth demonstrates remarkable balance. A lack of wind would disrupt essential natural processes, leading to stagnation, scarcity, and environmental chaos. Conversely, excessive winds would cause destruction, erode landscapes, and destabilize ecosystems. This equilibrium, maintained consistently across time and space, highlights an extraordinary level of order and design within the natural world. Those who contemplate these intricately balanced systems, the winds, the water cycle, celestial bodies, and the earth itself, cannot reasonably deny the existence of a single, all-powerful creator. The harmony and precision observed in creation point unmistakably to Allah, the Exalted, as the sole source of authority, wisdom, and sustenance for all that exists. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 9.
He is the Lord of the East and the West, there is no deity except Him.
A person must accept and act upon Islamic teachings for their own well-being, even when these teachings contradict personal desires and worldly inclinations. Their approach should resemble that of a wise patient who follows the advice of their physician. Even if the prescribed medicine is bitter or the dietary regimen is strict, the patient knows that adherence will ultimately restore health and strengthen the body. Similarly, acting on Islamic teachings ensures spiritual, mental, and physical well-being, bringing balance and harmony to all aspects of life. This guidance is only truly effective because Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses complete knowledge of human nature, including the intricate workings of the mind, body, and heart. Society's understanding of mental and physical states, no matter how advanced, will always be limited. Research, psychology, and medicine can provide partial remedies, but they cannot address every challenge a person encounters, nor can they guarantee the correct placement of relationships, responsibilities, or priorities in life. Human advice is inevitably constrained by limited knowledge, personal experience, foresight, and subconscious biases. In contrast, Allah the Exalted has perfect knowledge of every situation, past, present, and future. He understands the subtle interplay between circumstances, character, and destiny, and He alone can prescribe guidance that leads to true peace and balance in both worlds. This divine wisdom is conveyed to humanity through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. These sources provide a complete framework for living a life that cultivates contentment, harmony, and preparedness for accountability on the Day of Judgment. Therefore, just as a wise patient trusts the expertise of a physician, one must trust Allah the Exalted as the ultimate disposer of affairs. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 9.
So take Him as disposer of affairs.
But as obeying Allah the Exalted often contradicts the worldly desires and aspirations of people, many of them will reject, ignore, and oppose Islamic teachings. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 10.
And be patient over what they say.
In general, when a person chooses a path different from that of their peers, It often stirs feelings of inadequacy in others regarding their own choices, especially when those choices prioritize personal desires over the teachings of Allah, the Exalted. This discomfort frequently manifests as criticism directed at the one who remains steadfast upon their faith, and such criticism often comes from those closest to them, including family members. Their objections are rarely rooted in genuine concern. Rather, they arise from an inner unease caused by witnessing someone uphold principles they themselves have neglected. Moreover, societal influences such as social media, fashion trends, and cultural expectations exert significant pressure on those who strive to uphold Islamic values. The public promotion of Islam is often perceived as an obstacle to the ambitions of those who seek wealth, status, and social validation. Industries whose practices Islam critiques, whether related to immodesty, exploitation, or moral corruption, naturally oppose the integration of Islamic principles and discourage people from acting upon their faith. This opposition fuels the widespread anti-Islamic sentiments that are visible across various platforms, particularly on social media, where hostility toward Islamic teachings is frequently normalized and amplified. Furthermore, individuals who sincerely attempt to follow Islamic teachings, which call for moderation in personal desires and responsible enjoyment of the blessings granted to them, are often met with negativity from those who indulge in excess. Such individuals act on impulse without restraint, a behavior that Islam likens to animalistic instinct. They frequently attempt to dissuade others from accepting Islam, and discourage those who already follow it from practicing their faith. Their aim is to draw others into a lifestyle defined by unchecked desires and fleeting pleasures. They often target specific aspects of Islam, such as the dress code for women, in an attempt to undermine its appeal. Yet perceptive individuals easily recognize the superficiality of these criticisms, which stem from a disdain for Islam's emphasis on self-discipline and moral boundaries. For example, while they object to the Islamic dress code for women, they do not subject other professions, such as law enforcement, the military, healthcare, education, or business, to the same level of scrutiny, even though these fields also impose strict dress requirements. This selective criticism exposes the fragility and inconsistency of their arguments. Ultimately, it is the core principles of Islam and the disciplined conduct of those who adhere to them that provoke such attacks, leading critics to oppose Islam in any manner they can. In every circumstance, a person must remain unwaveringly committed to the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted, recognizing that such dedication will grant them serenity and shield them from the negative influences of others, even if this protection is not immediately visible. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 10.
And be patient over what they say, and avoid them with gracious avoidance.
Their loyalty to Allah, the Exalted, ensures that they make proper use of the blessings granted to them. This correct usage enables them to achieve a harmonious mental and physical state, allowing them to organize all aspects of their life with clarity and wisdom, while preparing for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. As a result, they cultivate tranquility in both worlds. They become rightly guided in every situation they encounter, whether in ease or difficulty, thereby strengthening their peace of mind and guaranteeing that they receive boundless rewards in this life and the next. In contrast, choosing to disregard the commands of Allah, the Exalted, in pursuit of the approval of others, inevitably leads to the loss of inner tranquility. Such behavior encourages the misuse of the blessings He has bestowed, resulting in a state of mental and physical chaos. A person who follows this path misplaces everything and everyone around them, losing balance and clarity. They become unprepared for their accountability on the Day of Judgment, and this negligence leads to stress, hardship, and difficulty in both this world and the next, regardless of any material comforts they may temporarily enjoy. To maintain a resolute and unwavering mindset, a person must strive to cultivate a strong and deeply rooted faith. A firm faith is essential for remaining devoted to the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, in every circumstance, whether during moments of ease or periods of hardship. Such unwavering faith develops through understanding and implementing the clear signs and teachings found in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. These teachings consistently demonstrate that sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted, is the path to tranquility in this life and the next. Conversely, those who lack knowledge of Islamic principles possess a fragile and unstable faith, making them more susceptible to drifting away from obedience, especially when their personal desires conflict with divine guidance. This deficiency in understanding prevents them from recognizing that surrendering their desires in favor of the commands of Allah, the Exalted, is the only means of attaining true peace in both worlds. For this reason, it is vital for individuals to strengthen their faith through the pursuit of Islamic knowledge and its practical application. This ensures that they remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, at all times, regardless of external pressures or internal temptations. Strengthening faith involves using the blessings they have been granted in accordance with Islamic teachings, which in turn fosters a balanced mental and physical state. Through this balance, they learn to correctly prioritize all aspects of their lives, relationships, responsibilities, ambitions, and desires, placing everything and everyone in their proper place. In doing so, they secure clarity, stability, and purpose, and they prepare themselves for their accountability on the Day of Judgment with confidence and serenity. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 10.
And be patient over what they say, and avoid them with gracious avoidance.
This verse also serves as a warning about the dangers of bad companionship, which is one of the most significant sources of misguidance. Humans are inherently social beings, and their beliefs, habits, and character are profoundly shaped by those they associate with, whether the influence is beneficial or harmful. This effect may be immediate or may develop gradually over time, but it is always transformative, for companionship is never a neutral factor. It wields immense power over one's values, emotions, and even destiny. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, confirmed this in a hadith found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4833, emphasizing the profound impact that one's companions have on their spiritual and moral state. Just as a person exiting a perfume shop carries the fragrance with them, and one who lingers near a blacksmith leaves marked by smoke and soot, so too does companionship leave a lasting imprint on the heart and character. Those who surround themselves with righteous and sincere individuals find their hearts naturally drawn towards sincerity, humility, and obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Such companions encourage the proper use of the blessings bestowed upon them, inspire preparation for accountability on the Day of Judgment, and constantly remind one of their higher purpose. In this environment, hearts are uplifted, intentions refined, and conduct shaped toward balance, mental, spiritual, and physical. Life becomes purposeful, harmonious, and contented. Conversely, spending time with heedless or misguided individuals inevitably leads to the adoption of their attitudes and behaviors. This influence may begin subtly, almost imperceptibly, but over time it erodes spiritual awareness and weakens the connection with Allah, the Exalted. Those under the sway of bad companionship are prone to following desires over duty, misusing the blessings granted to them, and neglecting their ultimate purpose. Their perception of right and wrong becomes distorted, priorities are misplaced, relationships are mismanaged, and balance in life is lost. When the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, is replaced by the pursuit of fleeting pleasures and misguided ideals, the heart becomes restless. Material comfort, wealth, and status cannot fill the spiritual void created by this neglect. Outward appearances of success may mask inner turmoil, but anxiety, instability, and dissatisfaction dominate the soul. Relationships suffer, the mind becomes unsettled, and the heart bears the weight of guilt and regret. The consequences of poor companionship extend beyond the worldly life, leading to confusion, despair, and ultimately spiritual ruin in the next. In contrast, righteous companionship nurtures faith, strengthens character, and fosters inner peace. It guides individuals toward proper conduct, balanced priorities, and preparation for eternal success. A wise person therefore exercises discernment in choosing their friends, seeking those who remind them of Allah, the Exalted, and whose character motivates adherence to truth, virtue, and the divine guidance entrusted to humanity. The right companions not only support a life of obedience, but also become a source of inspiration and strength, ensuring that the path of righteousness is maintained in both worldly and spiritual affairs. Allah, the Exalted, then issues a warning to those who persist in disobeying Him. Despite the multitude of clear signs present in Islamic teachings and throughout creation, that indicate the necessity of obedience. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 11.
And leave me with the matter of the deniers, those of ease in life, and allow them respite a little.
This verse serves as a reminder that those who misuse the blessings granted to them should not be deceived by the absence of immediate punishment or the lack of visible consequences. In reality, their negligence and disobedience prevent them from attaining a balanced mental and physical state, and lead them to misplace priorities in every aspect of their life. Relationships, careers, and material possessions, elements often regarded as sources of comfort and success, become sources of stress, conflict, and dissatisfaction. Those who continue to disregard divine guidance may begin to assign blame to inappropriate targets, such as family members, friends, or colleagues, rather than acknowledging their own mismanagement of the blessings Allah, the Exalted, has provided. As a result, they may sever relationships with those who are actually supportive and well-intentioned, further exacerbating their emotional and mental instability. This deterioration can manifest in severe consequences, including depression, substance abuse, or even suicidal thoughts. A clear illustration of this principle can be observed in the lives of many who enjoy wealth and worldly luxuries, yet remain spiritually negligent. Despite their material abundance, their mental and physical states are often unbalanced, and they experience discontent and restlessness. This worldly imbalance mirrors the spiritual neglect that will have even graver repercussions in the hereafter. Those who fail to prepare for their accountability on Judgment Day by using the blessings of this world appropriately will face far harsher consequences after death. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verses 12 to 13.
Indeed, with us for them are shackles and burning fire, and food that chokes and a painful punishment.
One of the primary reasons the hereafter, particularly the Day of Judgment and Hell, has been described in such vivid and detailed terms within Islamic teachings, is to confront and correct the false beliefs that previous nations held. Many of these peoples dismissed these realities, mocking or belittling them, and allowed wishful thinking to guide their behavior. They persisted in disobeying Allah, the Exalted, while erroneously believing that they would still attain salvation in both worlds. These misguided assumptions took many forms. Some relied entirely on the intercession of a righteous person without undertaking personal reform, assuming such intercession would absolve them regardless of their actions. Others believed that merely declaring faith verbally would be sufficient for salvation, without demonstrating it through their deeds. Many presumed that their excuses, regrets, or last-minute repentance would automatically be accepted on the Day of Judgment, irrespective of how they lived their lives. Still others minimized the severity of the punishments in the hereafter, imagining that they would be no harsher than any hardships experienced in this world. Islamic teachings address these misconceptions by presenting the realities of the hereafter in clear and often graphic detail. The purpose of these descriptions is not to instill fear or despair, but rather to awaken hearts to the seriousness of accountability, and to inspire genuine practical obedience to Allah, the Exalted. By understanding the consequences of disobedience and the significance of personal responsibility, individuals are encouraged to correctly utilize the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Internalizing these teachings safeguards a person from complacency, shields them from false hopes, and cultivates sincerity in their intentions. This preparation leads to a life of accountability, ensuring safety from punishment and success in both worlds. True success is achieved through attaining a balanced mental and physical state, and by correctly placing everything and everyone within one's life. By reflecting on the vivid realities of the hereafter, a person is guided to make conscious, deliberate choices in this world, aligning their actions with divine guidance, and securing a path of peace, purpose, and contentment in both the temporal life and the eternal life to come. Allah, the Exalted, then emphasizes the urgent necessity for practical preparation for the Day of Judgment, illustrating its overwhelming severity through vivid imagery. Even the most stable and formidable structures, such as mountains, will be rendered powerless under the weight of that day's events. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 14.
On the day the earth and the mountains will convulse, and the mountains will become a heap of sand pouring down.
If such mighty formations, which seem eternal and unshakable, can be reduced to dust, the condition of human beings, who are fragile, finite, and dependent, will be far more vulnerable. Those who neglect to prepare for their accountability, fail to act on Islamic guidance, or misuse the blessings granted to them, will find themselves utterly unprotected. Their mental and physical states, their relationships, and their worldly achievements will offer no shelter. Without sincere obedience, reflection, and practical preparation for the hereafter, they will face the overwhelming consequences of their actions with nothing to shield them. This verse serves as both a warning and a call to action. Just as one would not enter a battle unprepared, a person must actively and consistently prepare for the day of judgment. This involves learning and acting on the divine code of conduct granted to them by Allah, the Exalted, through the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 15.
Indeed, we have sent to you a messenger as a witness upon you.
It is crucial to understand that in matters of accountability, a witness can either support or condemn an individual. In the context of the hereafter, the blessings a person correctly uses, according to Islamic teachings, can lead to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, testifying on their behalf. Conversely, those who persist in neglecting or rejecting divine guidance, even if they verbally profess belief in Allah, the Exalted, may find the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, testifying against them. Chapter 25 Al-Furqan, verse 30.
And the messenger has said, O my Lord, indeed my people have taken this Quran as a thing abandoned.
This verse specifically addresses Muslims, as they are the ones who recognize and are responsible for the Holy Quran. Consequently, abandoning it, whether through neglect, inaction, or deliberate rejection, results in accountability, highlighting the seriousness of abandoning divine guidance. The consequences for those against whom the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, testifies are clear and severe. Therefore, individuals must move beyond wishful thinking and cultivate sincere hope in the mercy of Allah, the Exalted. This is achieved by committing wholeheartedly to obedience, reflecting on the divine teachings, and utilizing the blessings granted in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. By doing so, a person safeguards peace of mind in both worlds, attains balance in their mental and physical state, and places everything and everyone in their life correctly according to divine guidance. This path ensures that their witness, both internal and spiritual, aligns with truth and righteousness, leading to lasting success and protection on the Day of Judgment. Allah, the Exalted, further cautions against denying or neglecting the divine code of conduct by presenting the example of Pharaoh, who arrogantly rejected the guidance brought by the Holy Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, as it conflicted with his worldly desires and aspirations. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verses 15 to 16.
Indeed, we have sent to you a messenger as a witness upon you, just as we sent to Pharaoh a messenger. But Pharaoh disobeyed the messenger, so we seized him with a ruinous seizure.
These verses serve as a profound warning against adopting a self-centered approach to life, where one's focus is limited to personal gain, comforts, or ambitions, while neglecting the broader truths of existence and the accountability prescribed by Allah, the Exalted. Such a narrow perspective blinds the heart from perceiving lessons embedded in history, personal experiences, and the lives of others. Reflecting on these lessons is one of the most effective means of refining character and avoiding repeated errors, which in turn cultivates true peace of mind, through maintaining balance in mental and physical states and correctly placing everything and everyone within one's life. For instance, observing those who are wealthy or prominent, yet misuse their blessings, demonstrates that material comforts alone cannot secure inner tranquility. Many such individuals, despite worldly luxuries, succumb to anxiety, depression, addiction, or even suicide, revealing that peace of mind is rooted in obedience to Allah, the Exalted, rather than in the pursuit of unrestrained desires. Similarly, witnessing someone confront illness or hardship should inspire gratitude for one's own health and encourage careful and purposeful use of one's blessings before they are lost. By learning from the experiences of others, whether the struggles of the sick, the missteps of the wealthy, or the downfall of the arrogant, people are reminded that worldly circumstances are transient and insufficient for true fulfillment. Islam, therefore, calls for mindfulness, reflection, and the extraction of wisdom from both the surrounding world and the lessons of the past, guiding individuals toward a life of awareness, responsibility, and lasting tranquility. Those who fail to learn from the experiences of others, or from the lessons of history, will continue to disobey Allah, the Exalted, and as a result, they will leave themselves unprotected from the severe trials of the Day of Judgment, as well as the challenges of this world. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verses 17 to 18.
Then how can you guard yourselves if you disbelieve, a day that will make the children white-haired? The heaven will break apart therefrom, ever is his promise fulfilled.
Guarding oneself from these difficulties is only achieved by correctly using the blessings one has been granted, as outlined in Islamic teachings. Protection from such trials is only possible when a person correctly utilizes the blessings they have been granted, in accordance with Islamic teachings. Regular self-assessment is therefore essential, as no one knows their deeds better than themselves, except Allah, the Exalted. Honest self-evaluation encourages sincere repentance, motivates the performance of righteous deeds, and ensures that the blessings granted are used in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Conversely, neglecting this practice leads to heedlessness, the misuse of blessings, and severe difficulty during the weighing of deeds on the Day of Judgment. Such negligence may even result in eternal punishment. This principle can be compared to the conduct of a business owner. A wise owner regularly reviews their accounts to ensure the business operates correctly, meets obligations such as taxes, and avoids financial loss. In contrast, a careless owner who fails to monitor their records risks failure, penalties, and unnecessary hardship. Similarly, failing to account for one's deeds properly before Allah, the Exalted, carries consequences far more severe than financial loss. Chapter 99 Az-Zalala, verses 7 to 8.
So whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it. And whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it.
It is also crucial to note that a person should not only avoid sins, but must also refrain from using their blessings in vain. Acts that are neither sinful nor righteous may seem harmless in this world, but they contribute nothing to the balance of deeds on Judgment Day. Engaging excessively in vain pursuits can lead to profound regret when one realizes that these blessings could have been invested in actions that secure salvation. In some cases, even a slight imbalance between righteous and vain deeds on the scales of judgment can determine the difference between eternal success and loss. Through self-assessment, repentance, and the proper utilization of blessings, a person ensures preparedness for the trials of both this world and the next, safeguarding their peace of mind, their spiritual standing, and their ultimate end. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 19.
Indeed, this is a reminder, so whoever wills may take to his Lord a way.
Divine revelation is described in this verse as a reminder, and indeed, Islamic teachings serve as a reminder for all people, as they are perfectly aligned with human nature. Any code of conduct that opposes the natural disposition of humanity will inevitably feel unfamiliar and burdensome, often leading to mental and physical imbalance when a person attempts to follow it. In contrast, Islamic teachings, being divinely designed, correspond precisely with the essence of human nature and therefore feel inherently natural, fostering balance in both the mind and body. This sense of recognition is particularly evident in those who adopt Islam after following other ways of life. Many testify that, even without extensive prior knowledge, its principles resonate deeply within them, as though they are reconnecting with something already rooted within their being. This is because Islam does not impose an unnatural system upon a person. Rather, it restores them to the original state upon which Allah, the Exalted, has created all people. In comparison, other systems of thought often introduce standards and expectations that conflict with human nature, resulting in inattention, instability, and dissatisfaction. However, this distinction is not always immediately recognized. A person may fail to appreciate the harmony of Islamic teachings if they approach them with bias, arrogance, or a blind attachment to inherited beliefs and cultural norms. Such attitudes can prevent the heart from perceiving the truth and appreciating the balance that divine guidance offers. When a person approaches Islamic teachings with sincerity and an open mind, they begin to realize that divine revelation is not a burden, but a means of restoration. It reminds them of their true nature, realigns their priorities, and nurtures tranquility within their life. In this way, revelation functions both as a mirror and a guide. It reflects the inherent truth placed within the human soul, and it directs a person toward peace of mind in both worlds, through achieving a balanced mental and physical state, and by correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 19.
Indeed, this is a reminder, so whoever wills may take to his Lord a way.
Islam, being a perfectly balanced way of life, provides guidance that harmoniously manages all aspects of a person's existence, including spiritual, financial, and physical well-being. This balance ensures that no single dimension of life is overemphasized at the expense of others, as each plays a vital role in achieving overall stability and well-being. Because of this comprehensive approach, Allah, the Exalted, has instructed people not to overburden themselves even in acts of worship, such as the voluntary night prayer. While such acts are highly virtuous and beneficial, they are not meant to lead to exhaustion, burnout, or neglect of other responsibilities. Instead, a measured and sustainable approach is encouraged so that acts of devotion enhance a person's life rather than disrupt its natural balance. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 20.
Indeed, your Lord knows that you stand in prayer almost 2/3 of the night or half of it or 1/3 of it, and so do a group of those with you. And Allah determines the extent of the night and the day. He has known that you all will not be able to do it, and has turned to you in forgiveness, so recite what is easy for you of the Quran. He has known that there will be among you those who are ill, and others traveling throughout the land seeking the bounty of Allah, and others fighting for the cause of Allah. So recite what is easy from it.
In a broader sense, this establishes a fundamental principle that extends beyond acts of worship. A person must adopt a balanced approach in every aspect of life, ensuring that all duties, both worldly and spiritual, are fulfilled appropriately. Overburdening oneself in one area, even if it appears righteous, can lead to shortcomings in other equally important responsibilities, such as maintaining family ties, preserving one's health, fulfilling work obligations, or contributing positively to society. For example, excessive engagement in voluntary worship at the expense of rest can weaken the body, while neglecting family responsibilities in pursuit of personal devotion can lead to strained relationships. Such imbalances ultimately undermine the very purpose of Islamic teachings, which aim to establish harmony and order in all aspects of life. Therefore, true success lies in moderation, consistency, and wisdom. A person should strive to engage in acts of worship regularly, even if they are small, while also fulfilling their responsibilities towards themselves and others. This balanced approach allows a person to maintain their mental and physical well-being, uphold their obligations, and remain steadfast in their devotion over the long term. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 20.
And establish prayer, and give the obligatory charity and loan Allah a goodly loan.
Establishing the obligatory prayers is repeatedly emphasized in Islamic teachings, because prayer forms the central pillar upon which all righteous actions are built. It is the foundation of a person's relationship with Allah, the Exalted, and the primary means through which they maintain consistency in obedience and remain protected from deviation. Through regular prayer, a person repeatedly renews their commitment to divine guidance, preventing themselves from becoming absorbed in worldly distractions. However, true prayer is not limited to outward physical actions. It is an act of deep reflection, humility, and awareness that connects the worshipper to the reality of the hereafter and their ultimate accountability. This humility is developed when a person understands that each posture within the prayer carries profound meaning, particularly in relation to the Day of Judgment. The 5 daily prayers are distributed across the day for this very reason, ensuring that a person does not become heedless. Instead, they are given repeated opportunities to pause, detach from worldly concerns, and realign their intentions and actions with divine guidance. Each prayer acts as a spiritual checkpoint, allowing a person to assess their conduct and correct their course before they drift too far from the path of obedience. When a person stands upright in prayer, they should reflect on how this posture mirrors the standing of all people before Allah, the Exalted, on the Day of Judgment. Chapter 83 Al-Mutaffifin, verses 4-6.
Do they not think that they will be resurrected? For a tremendous day, the day when mankind will stand before the Lord of the worlds.
When a person bows, they are reminded of those who will be condemned on the day of judgment for refusing to bow to Allah, the Exalted, during their worldly lives. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 48.
And when it is said to them, bow in prayer, they do not bow.
This serves as a warning that bowing is not merely a physical act, but a symbol of submission. It includes submitting one's will to Allah, the Exalted, in all areas of life. When a person prostrates, the most humble position in prayer, they should reflect on how people will be called to prostrate on the Day of Judgment. Chapter 68 Al-Kalam, verses 42 to 43.
On the day when matters become dire, they will be invited to prostrate themselves but will be prevented from doing so. Their eyes humbled, humiliation will cover them. And they used to be invited to prostration while they were sound.
When a person sits on their knees during prayer, it serves as a reminder of how all people will kneel before Allah, the Exalted, awaiting their judgment. Chapter 45 Al-Jatiyah, verse 28.
And you will see every nation kneeling from fear. Every nation will be called to its record and told, today you will be recompensed for what you used to do.
The one who performs prayer with these reflections in mind will establish it in its true sense, both outwardly and inwardly. Such a prayer transforms a person's character, strengthening their awareness of Allah, the Exalted, and guiding their actions between prayers. As a result, they become more mindful of avoiding sin, and more committed to fulfilling their duties. Chapter 29 Al-Ankabut, verse 45.
Indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing.
Thus, prayer becomes more than a ritual, it becomes a continuous source of guidance, discipline, and protection. By internalizing its meanings and maintaining consistency, a person ensures that their life revolves around obedience to Allah, the Exalted, leading to stability, righteousness, and success in both worlds. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 20.
And establish prayer, and give the obligatory charity.
The obligatory charity represents only a small fraction of a person's total wealth, and it is only required when one possesses a set minimum amount. One of its primary purposes is to instill the understanding that the wealth a person holds is not truly their own. If it were entirely theirs, they would have unrestricted freedom to use it as they pleased. Instead, all wealth is created and granted by Allah, the Exalted, and therefore it must be used in ways that align with His pleasure. In reality, every blessing a person possesses, whether it be wealth, health, knowledge, or status, is a trust placed in their care, which ultimately belongs to Allah, the Exalted. The responsibility of a person is not to return these blessings physically, but to utilize them correctly, in accordance with the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. When this trust is fulfilled, wealth becomes a means of purification, protection from harm, and a source of immense reward in both worlds. However, the one who fails to recognize this reality and instead behaves as though their blessings belong solely to them, will inevitably misuse them. This misunderstanding leads to arrogance, greed, and negligence towards the rights of others. In particular, the person who withholds the obligatory charity treats their wealth as a personal possession rather than a trust, and in doing so, fails to fulfill a fundamental duty. Just as a person who refuses to repay a loan is held accountable in worldly matters, so too will this individual face accountability before Allah, the Exalted. The seriousness of this negligence is illustrated in a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 1403, which warns that the one who neglects their obligatory charity will be confronted on the Day of Judgment by a large poisonous snake that will wrap around them and repeatedly bite them as a punishment. This powerful imagery emphasizes that wealth is not merely a comfort, but a test that carries consequences depending on how it is used. Thus, wealth holds a dual nature. When used correctly, it elevates a person spiritually, strengthens social bonds, and secures lasting reward in the hereafter. It becomes a means of helping others, relieving hardship, and earning the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted. But when it is hoarded or misused, it transforms into a source of regret, punishment, and loss in both this life and the next. A wise person therefore understands that every portion of wealth spent in the way of Allah, the Exalted, is not a loss, but a lasting investment that yields returns far beyond what this temporary world can offer. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 180.
And let not those who greedily withhold what Allah has given them of His bounty ever think that it is better for them. Rather, it is worse for them. Their necks will be encircled by what they withheld on the day of resurrection.
In this world, the very wealth a person clings to while neglecting their obligations will become a cause of distress rather than comfort. Instead of bringing peace and security, it often leads to anxiety, fear of loss, and constant dissatisfaction. Such a person may begin to misuse their blessings, chasing temporary pleasures or attempting to fill an inner emptiness that wealth alone cannot satisfy. As a result, they fall into an unbalanced state, both mentally and physically, where priorities become distorted, relationships are mishandled, and their purpose in life is gradually forgotten. This imbalance prevents them from preparing properly for their accountability on the day of judgment. Even if they appear outwardly successful and surrounded by luxury, inwardly they remain unsettled, burdened by worry, and deprived of genuine peace of mind. Their wealth, which had the potential to purify them and elevate their status, instead becomes a source of hardship and regret. Ultimately, by neglecting their responsibility towards Allah, the Exalted, they trade lasting success for temporary comfort and eternal peace for a fleeting and deceptive sense of security. Chapter 20 Taha, verses 124 to 126.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e., difficult life, and we will gather, i.e., raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
He will say,
My Lord, why have you raised me blind while I was once seeing?
Allah will say, Thus did our signs come to you, and you forgot, i.e., disregarded them, and thus will you this day be forgotten. When a person establishes the obligatory prayers and fulfills the obligation of charity, they will naturally begin to use the blessings they have been granted in accordance with Islamic teachings in every aspect of their life, whether related to worldly matters or religious duties. These acts of worship are not isolated rituals, rather they cultivate discipline, awareness and responsibility, which extend into all areas of life. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 20.
And establish prayer, and give zakah and loan Allah a goodly loan.
Through consistent prayer, a person remains mindful of Allah, the Exalted, throughout the day, which prevents heedlessness and guides their decisions. Likewise, by giving the obligatory charity, they develop detachment from material possessions and recognize their role as a trustee of the blessings they possess. Together, these two pillars train a person to live with balance, sincerity, and purpose, ensuring that their actions align with divine guidance rather than personal desires. As a result, a person begins to achieve a balanced mental and physical state, as their priorities become properly aligned and their responsibilities are fulfilled in a measured way. They learn to place everything and everyone within their life in its correct position, giving each right its due without excess or neglect. This balance not only improves their worldly life, by reducing stress, confusion, and misjudgment, but also ensures that they are actively preparing for their accountability on the day of judgment. Such a lifestyle leads to true peace of mind in both worlds. In this life, it brings clarity, stability, and contentment, as a person lives with purpose and direction. In the hereafter, it results in safety, reward, and lasting success. Thus, by establishing prayer and fulfilling the obligation of charity, a person lays the foundation for a life of harmony, obedience, and ultimate success. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 20.
And whatever good you put forward for yourselves, you will find it with Allah while it is better and greater in reward.
This verse makes it clear that obedience to Allah, the Exalted, does not benefit Him in any way. Rather, it is entirely for the benefit of the person themselves. Understanding this reality is essential, as it protects a person from developing arrogance, the false notion that by obeying Allah, the Exalted, they are somehow doing Him a favor. Such an attitude is spiritually dangerous, as it weakens sincerity and makes obedience conditional. When personal desires conflict with divine commands, this arrogance can easily lead a person to abandon obedience, as they begin to prioritize their own preferences over what is right. In contrast, the one who understands that their obedience is solely for their own benefit develops true humility before Allah, the Exalted. This humility strengthens their commitment, allowing them to remain steadfast in all circumstances, whether they are facing hardship or enjoying ease. In times of difficulty, they respond with patience, trusting that there is wisdom behind every situation. In times of comfort, they respond with gratitude, recognizing that every blessing is a gift from Allah, the Exalted, and not something they inherently deserve. Gratitude itself operates on multiple levels. Gratitude in intention means that a person acts purely to please Allah, the Exalted, without seeking recognition or reward from others. Gratitude in speech involves using the tongue in a manner that is pleasing to Him, either by speaking good words or remaining silent when there is nothing beneficial to say. Gratitude in action is demonstrated by using one's blessings, such as wealth, time, health, and knowledge, in ways that align with the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. In this way, gratitude becomes a comprehensive state that shapes a person's entire life. Similarly, patience is not limited to enduring hardship passively. It involves actively restraining oneself from complaining in words or actions, while continuing to obey Allah the Exalted with trust in His wisdom. A person who possesses true patience understands that their knowledge is limited, whereas the knowledge of Allah the Exalted is complete and perfect. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
Consequently, the one who consistently adopts this balanced approach, combining humility, gratitude, and patience in all circumstances, will receive the support, guidance, and mercy of Allah the Exalted. This divine support brings stability, clarity, and inner peace in this world, while securing reward and safety in the hereafter. Such a person achieves a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly places everything and everyone within their life, ultimately attaining peace and success in both worlds, as indicated in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 7500. This chapter concludes by reminding people that Allah, the Exalted, does not demand perfection from them, nor does He expect them to live without error. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 20.
And seek forgiveness of Allah.
This command highlights a fundamental reality of human nature. People are prone to mistakes, shortcomings, and moments of weakness. Rather than expecting flawlessness, Allah, the Exalted, calls for continuous self-correction through repentance. This demonstrates His mercy, as He has provided a clear path for people to recover from their errors and return to the right path without despair or hopelessness. What is truly required is a life characterized by sincere effort and consistent striving. A person is expected to use the blessings they have been granted in ways that please Allah, the Exalted, while doing their utmost to fulfill His commands and avoid His prohibitions. When they fall short, as all people inevitably do, they are expected to turn back in repentance, recognizing their mistake and resolving to improve. In this way, progress is not measured by perfection but by persistence, sincerity, and the willingness to return to obedience after every slip. The real danger, therefore, does not lie in committing a sin, but in persisting in it without remorse or the intention to change. Continuous disobedience hardens the heart, weakens awareness of accountability, and distances a person from Allah, the Exalted. In contrast, regular repentance softens the heart, renews faith, and strengthens the connection with Him. It keeps a person spiritually alive, aware of their purpose, and mindful of their ultimate return. When a person adopts this mindset of sincere striving, combined with frequent repentance, they place themselves under the mercy and forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 73 Al-Muzammil, verse 20.
Indeed, Allah is forgiving and merciful.
This brings a unique form of inner tranquility, as they are not burdened by the weight of their past mistakes, nor consumed by despair. Instead, they live with hope, humility, and a continuous desire to improve. As a result, they attain peace of mind in this world and hold a strong hope for success in the hereafter, as their life becomes defined not by their shortcomings, but by their consistent return to their Lord. Therefore, a person must accept and act upon Islamic teachings for their own benefit, even when these teachings conflict with their personal desires. They must conduct themselves like a wise patient who accepts and follows the medical advice of a skilled doctor, knowing that the treatment is ultimately for their well-being, even if it involves bitter medicine or a strict diet. Just as this wise patient eventually attains good mental and physical health, so too does the person who embraces and implements Islamic teachings. This is because the only one who possesses the complete and perfect knowledge required to ensure that a person achieves a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly places everything and everyone within their life, is Allah the Exalted. The understanding of the human mind and body possessed by society, despite extensive research, will never be sufficient to achieve this outcome. Human beings cannot resolve every issue a person may face. Their advice cannot shield one from all forms of mental and physical stress, nor can their guidance ensure that a person correctly prioritizes everything and everyone in their life. These limitations arise from restricted knowledge, limited experience, lack of foresight, and the presence of personal biases. Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses perfect knowledge, and He has granted humanity access to this knowledge through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This truth becomes evident when one observes the difference between those who use their blessings according to Islamic teachings, and those who do not. Even though patients often do not understand the science behind the medicines they are prescribed, and therefore trust their doctor without full comprehension, Allah, the Exalted, does not expect people to follow Islam blindly. Instead, He invites them to reflect upon its teachings so that they may recognize its truthfulness and appreciate its positive effects on their lives. He calls people to approach Islam with insight, not imitation. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, this is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me.
In addition, as Allah the Exalted alone controls the spiritual hearts of people, the true abode of peace of mind, He alone determines who attains tranquility and who does not. Chapter 53 and Najm, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
It is therefore clear that Allah the Exalted grants peace of mind only to those who use the blessings He has given them in the correct manner, as outlined in Islamic teachings. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon His final messenger, Muhammad, his noble family and companions.